one things I do see is I'm hungry, and the world is hungry, and agriculture is looking great. This is FTAG, First Trust Global Agriculture. That's a pretty chart, and I'm not early. I'm not going to pretend that I am, but you have an Indian uh, uh, producer of SUVs and tractors that I had never heard of before, being their number one name, Mahindra and Mahindra. DE Deere is the second name, and you can go through all kinds of things where the fertilizer prices are going up, the farmers are getting squeezed, they have to become more efficient, and the demand for farm equipment, I think, is going to be there. So agriculture seems like another commodity cycle to latch onto. I've got other things that bolster that view, but in a sea of ugly charts, this is looking very, very promising to me.
Yeah, we had a guy on my podcast. I don't know, a month or so ago named Nico Hoyt, and that's all he does is agricultural stuff. And he was very bullish from a fundamental standpoint, very bullish. And he
And,
said
and
basically, if you get a weather event, and they're talking about this could be a monster El Nino this year, that you could have an explosive setup in agriculture. So that's a good spot to come at from a different angle of just, it's sticking out to you just from a chart standpoint. And then I'm
yeah,
giving it to you that we have an hour long podcast where we talked about the setup and how the war,
that's Betty and the
basically,
Squirrel.
yeah, Benny and the Squirrel, and
Yeah, I'll look it up.
and we basically laid out the case for how you have an explosive setup there, and that chart does look good, although it doesn't trade a lot. There's probably other versions of that chart that are out there that are looking decent.
Yeah, it's 300 grand a day. So you do the, and what happens though is that when these things go, the volume expands. And I just remember the sort of mid to late 2000s, the potashes, and when these trends get in place, they go for a long, long time. And I think we're beginning another one. And I've got things
Yeah, I
like
mean,
the
pull up Bungie real quick, ticker BG.
yeah, no,
That's
and
kind of
yep, I'm with you.
that's a
You
good
know,
looking chart also.
and I could not agree more. And you could say, "Oh well, I didn't buy it at the bottom." Okay, but it's what's happening in the windshield, not the rearview mirror. And if you have a case that this is going further, I'm with you. Bungie is a big name in this ETF. Veggie, iShares, agriculture producers. This trades. I don't know, 700 grand a day. I'm making that number up because I'm too vain to put my glasses on. But I mean, look how similar these look. Deer here, caveat emptor, is 25% of this index, of this ETF. That's a little bit much for me, but I had a good friend of mine to give me a pretty bullish case for DE, where their AI capabilities of maximizing what the combines and the tractors do in the field is pretty compelling to a strapped farmer. So again, when I see two charts with slightly a pretty different portfolio construction giving me the same message, I pay attention. And I do fundamental work. I reverse the chronology. I find a chart that's promising, and then I do the fundamental work versus having a thesis and then working on that, and then, oh, by the way, the chart stinks, and I've wasted a month. So I'm doing a lot more work here, and I've got one more for you.
All right.
This is Tucrium. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Soybean Fund, SOYB. They just buy the soybean futures. So if you needed some confirmation that the underlying commodities were doing something, soybeans for one is perking up and is not anywhere near its all time highs. So I could make a case that this is very promising as far as the one of the products. And I'm sure we can go through corn, wheat, and other things and come up with different scenarios. I'll listen to your Benny and the Squirrel podcast to find out what your guest likes the most, and then go do some work there too. But when I have, and there's some other things going on, but those are probably the three most compelling new charts that I came across as I went through 5,000 plus. So I'm going to do some more work. I'll report back when I pull the trigger, and stay tuned, please.
Do you know how they create the like are they doing front month, second month? What's the composition of futures that they use?
I haven't looked at it yet, but I mean, this is three soybean futures contracts, so it's usually the first three most contracts, the most
Yeah,
the shortest
it
contracts,
yeah,
and
and
then they
I'm just
roll.
looking at the curve because the issue with the commodity future replication ETFs is like a lot of times they run a negative carry, right? So
Yep,
if you have
yep,
like a contango curve, the front month you got to pay the roll. This is actually in the backwardation right now, meaning the front month's the highest part of the curve, so you actually earn the roll. And that's just
yeah,
so a little teaching moment for everybody who's out there listening. Like with USO for oil, UNG for nat
yep.
gas, whatever, you got to be careful about that because they can be okay trading vehicles. Like if you bought USO into the war, you did well, right? But on an ongoing overtime basis, if you're paying the roll, you are not going to be happy with your long term performance. It's very difficult to make money in commodities. It's never been an easy business. Let's just say over time the returns are pretty shit. So you got to catch them at the right moment.
And, the first thing I do when I come across something like this is I print the fact sheet, which gives me all the things you mentioned, how they, the structure of the portfolio, the futures contracts, what have you. And if you don't like what you read in that, then just put it in the trash and go on to the next one. But it's chart first, fact sheet second, and I only need 10. I own 9 right now, and I'm up for the year, and so far things are going well. I'm knocking on wood, but uh, so far it's working.
All right, last question, boys. Who's winning the Masters?
I'd love to see McElroy repeat. I think that'd be awesome.
Can't hear you, Jeff. Still can't
McElroy
hear
just
you.
snap hooked one completely off the. You still can't hear me?
Now we can.
How
You're
about now?
good.
You can't hear me because I've got
Yeah,
access.
we can hear you.
Okay, great. McElroy is he snap hooked it on one into places I have no idea where into the other fairway. Bryson just hit out of a part of Augusta that I've never seen before. It's exciting. That's all I've got to say is enjoy the Masters, boys. The market could use a break. This is a perfect time for kind of the best of all the majors to be taking place, and Bryson and Rory are on the course. It's the best app, by the way, in all of appdom. Whatever
It
the
is great. It
secret
is great.
Hi, I'm David Maris. If you like what you just heard, we've tracked every single pick we make on the show, every ticker, every thesis, every entry price, over 1,100 picks and counting. We put it together in a free report with our top 10 performers, the reasoning behind each one, and a preview of our full dashboard. If you want access, the link is in the description.